Hello and welcome to this sideline interview today at the event of Bharat Shakti Pandit Fest 2023. We have today with us Sri Dushyanth
Namaskar.
Namaskaram, who is a very renowned Vedic speaker and writer. Dushyantji, today, as you know, there is a lot of talk going on about the Sanatan Dharma. We have even had somebody, one of the politicians nearby, who has kind of called for the extermination of the Sanatan Dharma, etc. We all know all this. I'd like to ask you a few questions about the Sanatan Dharma to you. How does one understand or define Sanatan Dharma? If one could, that is. Could you please tell us how young Hindus can and should know and understand it?
So, in Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism, we have a plethora of scriptures, be it the Ramayana of Valmiki, the Mahabharata of Vyasa, the Shrutis and the Smritis, the Puranas, and so on and so forth. And we have reference to these words Sanatana Dharma as seen in these works. Let us take, for example, Srimad Ramayanam of Valmiki. Around 8 times, this word Sanatana Dharma appears in the entire Kavyam. There is one place where Rama tells Vali that you have tried to force yourself on Sugriva's wife. This is wrong. Tyaktva dharmam sanatanam. You have abandoned Sanatana Dharma by doing so. So, in that case, by the corollary, we understand treating brother's wife as his daughter or sister is Sanatana Dharma. So, Sanatana Dharma essentially stands for those set of values and principles that makes the society more civilized, much better, much seasoned. So, Sanatana Dharma as words appear in the Ramayana, in the Mahabharata, determining the eternal virtue, perpetual truth we call. So, if a person has treated a person called Dharma Vyadha in Mahabharata, he has treated his parents, revered them, paid obeisances to them. That concept has continued through generations. So, that truth which has been passed or handed over generation after generation, time and again, which is perpetual in nature, eternal in nature, is Sanatana Dharma. So, if a person says that I'm going to eradicate eternal, something which is eternal, either the person is less informed or he has been guided wrongly. So I wouldn't abuse or curse that person. I feel very sorry because it's a very primitive, a half-baked understanding of truth.
Wonderful, exactly. So now the question comes as to how should non-Hindus today understand it, at least on a superficial level first, before even understanding at a deeper level. So how would a non-Hindu, if at all, if a non-Hindu has to understand what Sanatan Dharma is, because it is a dharma that belongs universally to everybody. So how does a non-Hindu understand this in today's context? Like, how can we make them understand?
It's like this. I'm giving a very mundane example. Let's take an auto rickshaw driver. Let's say in Chennai or Bangalore or Pondicherry or anywhere. You may see some of those autos with a photo, a placard just
Right.
above the driver. It will have a Ganesha's photo. It will have Jesus's photo. It will have the Kaaba, the
Correct.
mosque
Yes.
of Islam. And this person will be a Hindu. So this person essentially wants to convey the message that though I am a practicing Hindu, I may apply the vibhuti and the kumkumam. I treat all these gods as a part of my pantheon. Now, it is very, very rare. I wouldn't say no or never. Probably for maybe a Muslim auto rickshaw driver to have a similar photo. So, come back to your question. You're saying that Sanatana Dharma is a huge umbrella. So, how do we view non-Hindus? Like how the auto driver views. We see even the believers, the non-believers, the Jains, the Sikhs, the Buddhists, the agnostics, the Parsis, the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews as coming under one umbrella called Sanatana Dharma, because when we believe it's eternal Dharma, humans have been living eternally on earth. So they are also a part of our Dharma. But like how I said, if a Muslim auto rickshaw driver will have that photo, similarly, maybe a Muslim or a Christian or a Sikh today may not want to associate themselves with that Sanatana Dharma. That's fine. So it's like this, we are one big joint family. Certain people leave the family and they have their own apartments, but we are still continuing to, certain of us, we continue to stay under that one dwelling. So we are continuing to stay. So it's not right for us to coax the Christians and the Muslims and say, you should also agree that you're a part of Sanatana Dharma. We believe that they are a part, but they may not believe. That's okay.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about what Sri Aurobindo has said in his Uttarpara speech, where he clearly says that Sanatana Dharma is not exclusive to India. So he clearly mentions that it is universal. So could you please elaborate that from our scriptures, from the Vedas, to the people who are listening to this video as to how Sanatana Dharma is actually universal, which is the real truth?
So Vedas proclaim with abundant profundity and sincerity that through jnana, through knowledge, quintessential knowledge is when a jivatma is entitled for moksha. Moksha is generally that state from which there is no comeback, there is no rebirth. You're eternally blissful and free. So who is entitled to the moksham? The jivatma, not the shariram, because in any part of the world, either the body is burnt or buried. It cannot go. You don't see bodies flying up. So what goes up or what leaves the body is what is eternal, which is the jivatma. So the body is perishable. So the jivatma, which is housed in Partha, in Dushyanth, in the person who's recording this event, in the person who's viewing this video, is the same. The jivatma is the same. The bodies are different. I may look like how I am. You look smart. Your body is looking smart. So the bodies differ. Short, tall, dark complexion, fair complexion, brown complexion. All this is with respect to the body. With the Atma, there's no difference. So the Atma within a Hussein in Saudi Arabia, the Atma within John in Scotland, the Atma within a Chaturvedi or a Srivastava in the north of India, the Atma within a Seshachari Mama of South India is all the same. So Vedas say with utter sincerity that this Jivatma is entitled for moksha, whoever that person is. So it doesn't matter whether the person is in the Islam religion or the Sikh religion. If that person does his karma well, if the person does his ascribed duties to his parents and society well, if the person means good to the society, wherever you are, in whichever body you are, you're entitled for moksham. You don't have to convert at all. So I don't think you can get even more universal, magnanimous and logical than this.
Absolutely. It's perfectly said. Wonderful. So, in his Uttarpara speech also, Sri Aurobindo has also said that the Sanatana Dharma is directly linked to the destiny of Bharat. Right? So, what is, in your opinion, the destiny of Bharat? And why is this Dharma so important to this destiny? Because it's important because if, as he says, if the Sanatana Dharma declines, the nation declines. So therefore, the destiny is directly linked. I mean, I would like the viewers to know your opinion and understand how this destiny is linked to Bharat.
We have been told time and again by quite a few historians, some opinion makers, some even politicians, that the last 1,000 years within the Bharata premises territory has not been a smooth ride. Whether we call it 1,000 years of invasion, whether we call it 200 years of colonial rule and 800 years of not exactly invasion, people call it different ways. So whichever way you put, the last 1,000 years has not been a smooth ride. So much so that a country which was occupying at least 35 to 40% of the world's GDP at one point in time, today has to struggle to come from the 13th to the 10th, the 10th to the 7th, 7th to the 5th, and slowly crawling to the 3rd. So yes, there's been contribution by many people across political parties. Let's not get political about this. So in this instance, juncture, when we are trying to climb, take baby steps to reach the 3rd largest economy, the 3rd largest military power, trying to increase the per capita income, that is related to Sanatana Dharma. I'll tell you how. People who have climbed to position 1 and position 2, be it US or China, has faced a lot of critiquing and criticism in the last 50 years. Though US is the world's largest economy, though it is one of the world's most powerful democracies, there have been large-scale accusations that it has interfered in the administration and the regime of many countries. China, despite being a very uh, uh, case study based country in the last 30 years because of its revolution in terms of manufacturing, has not played a very positive role in being democratic in nature. People disappear. Suddenly, one premier disappears, one journalist disappears. So, disappearing is the order of the day. So, what we can learn from number one and number two, US and China, is that we should not commit those mistakes. So, that is what Sanatana Dharma tells. See, I'm sure now that we are speaking in Pondicherry, Pondicherry is also one of the fulcrums of selling those antique products. If you see those Chettinad door frames, they will be about 4.5 feet. And the average human being's height is 5.5. So our doorsteps have always told, how much ever you rise, how much ever your pituitary gland works, be humble and go down. Bow.
True.
So as we grow in stature, India should remain humble. So this is what Sanatana Dharma tells, because Sanatana Dharma says, Vidya dadati vinayam. True knowledge is that which makes a person humble. Without humility, knowledge is a useless tinsel. So, if we plan to climb the stairs in economy, in military strength, in per capita, side by side, Sanatana Dharma's values that stay humble, be helpful, be generous, think good for others. You know, in school days, I don't know, Partha, you may have been one of those good souls. The moment I get my answer sheet, we generally check what the other person has got.
True. I did
and
the
even
same.
when we come home, you know, my mother would ask, how much did she get?
Yes.
How much? So, the moment I say that somebody else has got, it's a very Indian phenomenon to say, oh, how did that person get? Why did you lose? So, as we climb to third position, our quest should never be, when will we become 1 or 2? When can we be the better 3? See, what mistakes they have committed, if we commit, then Sanatana Dharma starts falling down.
Right.
We have not imbibed the values of it.
Correct. Yes. So, now, my next question is a bit on the present day situation, especially for the younger generations and the younger youth of India and Indians abroad also.
Like you.
Oh, no, not like me, yeah. But this question is very, very important for me to understand, because I have had this particular feeling all the time that why is the Dharma, the Sanatan Dharma, a target of so much of hatred and doubt? You have to understand the meaning of doubt, because people are constantly questioning, what is Sanatan Dharma? Is it linked to Hindutva? Is it Hindutva? Is it, what is it? And why are there so many younger generations of India being influenced by these foreign political movements, such as wokeism and etc., and turning hateful towards their own culture and dharma? So, what can we do to blunt this kind of a feeling that they have, and actually sharpen them and tune them towards our dharma?
There are various layers to your questioning. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. One is with respect to why this damage is happening to Sanatana Dharma, why there are so many doubts and questions. It is not that other religions have no questions to answer. It is just that essentially the religions, those religions, with all humility I can say, with whatever little knowledge I have of comparative religion, that they generally don't encourage questioning. I wouldn't say they don't allow. There are a lot of conclaves that happen in Christianity where questions are asked, but not the way Sanatana Dharma is. So, and we have known of religions of the West which are very critical to the art of questioning itself. So, when we say that Sanatana Dharma, why suddenly there are so many questions, it is not that as if the other religions are insulated. They are insulated from the art of questioning. And as prone, Sanatana Dharma itself comes because of questioning, because Arjuna asked, Krishna answered Bhagavad Gita. Valmiki asked, Narada answered Ramayanam. Janamejaya asked, Vaishampayana answered Mahabharatam. Maitreya asked, Parashara answered Vishnu Puranam. Parikshit asked, Shukabrahmam answered Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra asked, Vidura answered Vidura Niti. Yaksha asked, Yudhishthira answered Yaksha Prashnam. All our scriptures are a result of somebody's questioning. But the questioning which is asked by some of the members of the political spectrum today, vis-a-vis them, is they asked for learning. These people ask to provoke and get pandemonium, organized pandemonium as a result of this. So rather than keeping this conversation very acrimonious and trying to attribute a lot of virulent spewing of what they speak, I'll keep it simple. So Sanatana Dharma allows questioning. I'm very open about it. Dharma is very open about it. Why other religions don't allow questioning is for them to answer. I cannot critique about any other religion. I've never done that in the past. Coming to this wokeism, trust me, we call it by the word woke, wokeism, wokeshwara, wokanayaka, and all of that today. Have people in the 1960s and 70s who went to Pachayappa's, the presidency, St. Stephen's, were they all reading Ramayana every day? So you had wokeism even then. Just that you call it by a term today. So I believe that this concept of being rational, questioning, calling certain rituals as superstitions, certain others as one's own tradition, all this has existed from the past. Nothing new. So when somebody says, oh, I have a question about this, why didn't Urmila sacrifice Lakshmana when the two of them went to the forest? They believe that they're proving more intelligent than Valmiki. Valmiki has answered this question. So this woke concept, I'm not a big partaker of. So, I'll give you a simple example, Partha. I studied in Pilani and I used to give lectures on the Ramayana on certain days. And while I used to go bhavan after bhavan, mess after mess to stick a notice of my lecture, I used to notice that one person used to religiously, sincerely tear those posters. So one day I went and asked him, why do you do this? He said, no, in an engineering college, which is supposed to impart a lot of rational thinking, why talk about Rama and Lakshmana? Well, I didn't have anything to answer. I just kept quiet. 10 years before, after we passed out, 5 years after that, he wrote to me from Australia stating that, please, when you're coming to Australia, let me know. I would love to organize Ramayana lectures. So the one who was woke while he was 19, in a span of 5 years, became anti-woke. So, poo ban gayi Parvati bolte hain na jaise. You should let them mature. So, I don't think it's something to be worried about. And what was the other question that you had?
So basically, I mean, what can be done to blunt this?
See, in the last 70 years, there has been some amount of damage which has happened to our understanding of Sanatana Dharma. That's primarily because of a variety of reasons. So, let's say all our scriptures are in Sanskritam. Schools became English oriented. So, first of all, we lost knowledge of the language in which the book is delivered. And further down in South, they said you cannot learn Sanskritam. So, encouragement to learn Sanskritam and Tamil Hindi wasn't there. So, you lost interest in it. People in the North do not know of the Sangam literature, which is 3,400 years old. It is older than the advent of Jainism and Buddhism. Paripadal, Kuruntogai, Tirumulugatrupadai, Silappadigaram, Kundalakesi, Valayabadi, Alvar's Pasurams, they are all like, they come very close to the Indus Valley civilization. What literature we have. Now, they won't have knowledge of Tamil. People in Tamil Nadu don't have knowledge of Sanskritam. So, when you have no knowledge of these two languages, you are left only with Thomas Hardy and Keats and Wordsworth. So, you believe, when you say Dances with the Daffodils, you believe that flowers were invented after the Britishers came and people started draping themselves in clothes and covering their private parts only after Robert Clive said that. So, a damage has been done. To undo is very tough. It's like when apoptosis doesn't happen, programmed cell death doesn't happen, malignant cells come together, tumor cells come together to form a cancer. It could be benign or malignant. So, there's damage which is done. But it is only through means like speaking, writing, listening, researching that we can slowly start healing the wounds. No sudden measure can bring this about. See, when damage has been caused for 70 years, it will take 140 years, twice that, for us to undo it. It's not a one-day process. But if it has to begin, it has to begin now. Well, Pondi Bharat Shakti Lit Fest, maybe one area. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have just one more little question, if you don't mind. It's about, how should the Hindus face this hatred from the political left and their collaborators amongst the minorities and defend themselves if this question is related to the Sanatan Dharma, or if it is there, it's fine. Otherwise, we can proceed to the next question, which is, why is Sanatan Dharma likely to be the religion of the world in the not so distant future? This is my feeling. I feel that the Sanatan Dharma, having said earlier that Sri Aurobindo mentioned that it is universal, I personally feel that it is going to be the religion of the world. But though you did answer that, you did speak about the soul being, the Atma being the same, and therefore it is universal, and it doesn't have to be in the future. I got your answer earlier. It is already there. It is the religion of the future. So therefore, since this question has already been answered by you, the last.
No, I'll take that question.
That'll be wonderful if you can. And the question that follows this is, why would its scriptures be appealing to the future human societies? So Sanatan Dharma, why should it become and how is it likely to become the universal religion? And how are the scriptures going to be appealing to the future human societies?
Okay, first, with respect to Sanatana Dharma on the whole, whether it will become the religion or the civilization of the world, I beg to differ. Of course, Sri Aurobindo was a big thinker, and you're all from Pondicherry, and I'm sure very proud of what he has done to Sanatana Dharma. But when he says it will become Dharma of the world, today Sanatana Dharma, though it's the eternal, perpetual truth, virtues and values, it's not viewed that way. It is seen as another name of Hinduism. So when you say Sanatana Dharma will become the religion of the world, in other words, people will construe that you're saying Hinduism will become the religion of the world.
Yeah, but what we are trying to say is that Sanatana Dharma is universal. That is what.
Yeah, but today, what is Sanatana Dharma? See, when no other religion is associating itself with these words, essentially only Hinduism is clung to these words.
Correct.
So essentially today, Sanatana Dharma means Hinduism.
In today's
context, it's Hinduism. So when people generally ask, when I go abroad to give lectures in the US, UK, oh, you have come to convert? I said, yes. Whom? I said, I'm not come to convert Christians or Muslims or Sikhs as Hindus. I've come to convert Hindus as Hindus. So now that itself is a big task.
True.
Because people who have the name Hindu, the label Hindu on the application form are incongruent, oblivious of the fact what the scriptures say. And we don't have a very formalized, organized way of dispensing the esoteric thoughts of the religion. So we have to take it upon ourselves, okay, I volunteer to help you. I volunteer to speak for you. Nobody's paying me, right? So I volunteer. So essentially, I would say that the Sanatana Dharma will become the Dharma of the world is stretching it too much. All this is not required. I just feel that Hindus should realize, okay, this is Sanatana Dharma. Let us live it that way. Keeping it simple. And it should percolate in various levels. See, I should not stay within this beautiful ramparts of the Pondicherry, the big cities like Bangalore, Chennai. I should be able to go to tier 2, tier 1, tier
Correct.
2 and further villages. So Trinam Moolam we say, right? Trinam is grass. Moolam, grass root. You have to go there. See, we say 60% lives in villages, but I'm talking in that 0.5% of this country, which is Pondicherry. So it should reach there. And it need not happen through the same person with the same lingo. It has to go through a lingo that they can learn from. So that should happen. And what was your last question?
So, that was the question. Basically, you've answered this. And the last question that I have for this particular discussion that we've been having is, personally, I would like to know your advice as to what I can do to serve and strengthen Sanatan Dharma. And as a result of me understanding what I can do, what we can do to also serve and strengthen Sanatan Dharma. And in an organizational level, what can organizations do to strengthen and serve the Sanatan Dharma? That would be my last question.
Okay. So your thoughts are very pristine, I would say. I don't have a definitive answer. And first of all, you've used the word advice. I'm nobody to advise, okay? I only suggest, request, implore, beseech. All these words from the Webster's and the Merriams I can use. I feel this. We're always in the process of saying this is wrong information. So don't say about Sanatana Dharma like this. This is wrong information. We are always being reactive. Somebody says something against Sanatana Dharma. Ye Sanatana Dharma nahi hai. So now the audience is confused. The person who abuses Sanatana Dharma is very clear what he's abusing. The person who denies it says this is wrong, but he doesn't say what is right. Because essentially many of them don't know what is right. See, when somebody abuses, we know this is wrong. ये तो गलत है. तो ठीक वाला क्या है? That we don't know. So that is where I believe we have to get proactive. We have to come up with books that definitively, qualitatively, are able to dispel a lot of this misinformation. I'm sure your LitFest is doing a wonderful job to bring a lot of publications under one umbrella. I've not gone through all the books. And to say that, okay, I will read all the books is too, I won't even be able to read 1 or 2 books from this entire gamut. But I genuinely feel we should come up with one big forum of tested and examined intellectuals in Sanatana Dharma who together write books. See, I'm using every word very carefully because anybody can write a book today. Today, publishing is not tough at all. You have publishers saying, publish for me, or you have, big scale where you can publish, you can take. It's not as tough as what it used to be in 60s and 70s.
And with ChatGPT, it's even worse.
ChatGPT will write and you can't put that.
Correct.
So you'll put your grandfather's name and say, oh, he wrote, he composed and all of that. So it should be tested individuals. Because, when you hear the so-called, some of them speak in the media and this thing, we realize that it's better that the person keeps quiet. He'll do more damage than what the politicians do. So this half-baked knowledge, reading from some 4-5 sources and jotting down sentences will do more damage. So today, while using words like Arya, Dravida, Shudra, Vaishya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Varna, Ashrama, people should have a very strong grounding in these words. You cannot use those flowery languages with that accent and say, okay, well, Varna like this. Then the person opposite you is well more read than you. He will catch you. So you should know where this Shabdam appears, in which commentary of Medha Tithi of the Manusmriti it appears. So that when you give it back 10 references to them, they'll keep quiet. They know this person is not easy to take on. When you are generally giving all flowery words, I read somewhere I received a message, it was very interesting. All this will not work in the academic world. You will be revered, you will have many followers on Twitter, but this will be thrown into trash. So it is very important that we come up with a very tested and tried group, forum of tested and well-read intellectuals. And when they come together with a book, it will become like the book of the century. Okay, like how we used to say, oh, he's the encyclopedia. That book should be that. Go and refer. Why did Rama do this? All this whys and hows, if we come up with 1,000 questions, all those 1,000 questions with references should be given. If that is given, it will quell all the thoughts. Now what is happening is plenty of people are writing plenty of books. And honestly, a mundane reader doesn't know which book to buy, which book to read. I feel that will be a very good solution without hurting anybody. See, when you come up with a book, I'm not lifting one sword and saying, okay, I'll cut your head. I will hang it in the road. Nothing. Why should I bring in or drag some other religion? The question is about my religion. I will answer. Why should I drag Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, Islam? Don't abuse any religion. The moment you start abusing, you are not a part of Sanatana Dharma. So I feel you can carry this process out, this exercise out very prudently, very sincerely, very consistently in the long run to benefit the society.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea because from what I understand, the attack on the Sanatana Dharma can be more effectively countered with knowledge than with vital strength. Right?
See, how long can Partha and me take soda bottles and cycle chains and go and fight? I'm not interested. I don't have the time to go there. They'll give me 200 rupees.
Correct.
They will give me one cycle chain. I have to hit 10 stores, burn one bus.
Correct.
What is all this?
So, in fact, even this call to exterminate the Sanatana Dharma should be countered with knowledge.
Knowledge. Immediately they'll put that politician's photo. They'll stamp on that photo, hit it with a broomstick. See, but you can't stop the emotions of the people. That is one more thing. If I say stop, they'll give that hit to me. So, I have to escape the broomstick. Right. So, people let them do, but the intellectual circle should not get into abuses, cursing, name calling and all of that.
Got it.
We should come up with a very intellectual attack. And that attack will last for generations. People will say, Arey, whatever accusation you're saying is wrong. See that book? They give a reference. Where is your reference? They will now feel petrified. When it's an intellectual response, they'll be petrified.
Thank you so much.
Namaskaram.
Thank you so much. Namaskaram.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.